The Boston Marathon is coming up next Monday. I have qualified for the race about 4 to 5 times. I've lost count. I think I've run 10 marathons. I think. I don't have it written down anywhere. But what I will say is this. When I first became a runner in 2011, I ran a 5K, and then I quickly determined I was going to run a marathon shortly after that, which I did. And I was humbled very quickly. I ran a 4:24, and I remember just crying at the end of it, eating a banana, and just being so mad at myself for running what I felt was super slow. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any books. I didn't have a coach. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I drank a lot of water. Anyway, so fast forward a couple of months down the road, a year later, I determined to learn everything I could about marathon training, and thus began my journey to mastering the marathon. And that is such a joke because the marathon is such a beast. I feel like you can't ever really master it unless you're an elite athlete. And even then, if you ever listen to an elite athlete, there are still things that they are learning. What drew me to the marathon was that very thing, the very fact that I could not master it and that I would always have something to learn and strive and grow towards, right? I love learning new things. I love being challenged. I hate being stagnant. Nothing drives me more batty than not having a goal or remaining stagnant in my life. However, the past couple of years, I've very open. I've shared a lot about my personal life. I've not shared everything. There are a lot of details that I refuse to share on social media for the privacy of my children and other people that are involved in the situation. But I will say the past couple of years, I have felt very stagnant emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's like I kind of feel like I went through Navy SEAL boot camp for emotional and spiritual warfare. And all of my limits were tested, and it left me feeling mentally fatigued, emotionally fatigued. I got to a point where I just didn't care, and so I did self-sabotage my own training with the Asheville Marathon. I was like, I'm going to go break 3 hours on this course. I can do it. But the truth is, I didn't care. I didn't care to do it. I didn't even care to run the marathon. I love IDAF events. I love Asheville. I mean, I love all the things. But as far as my personal goals, I was very stagnant, and I just didn't care to run it. From mile 1 of that race, I was like, I don't want to be here. I just don't care anymore. Some people might call it depression when you lose a sense of joy for things that you once previously loved. And I don't think it was depression as much as it was more like life got really, 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 really intense for me. And, you can only hold so much before you just kind of flatline. And I feel like that's what happened to me. I completely flatlined for the past couple of years. I could only barely keep my head above water. My main priority was keeping my girls healthy, my girls safe, keep them fed, have a roof over their house, somehow be this sole provider. I've not received any financial support from the other party. I cannot even begin to tell you the nightmare that I've been living. But what you guys see is me building a brand, building Rogue, doing all the things. My point in sharing all of this with you is this. If you are at a point in your life where you're like, I just don't care. I just don't care. I'm just going to go through the motions. I'm just not going to have any goals. That is some real shit. And I have so much compassion for you. But I will say this. I look back on the last couple of months of my life, and I'm like, you know what? If all I could do was run easy, then that's all I could do. But then I look back and I also say, there is no but. If that's all you could have done, that's all you could have done. Now, to get the spark back, what I am doing this time around. So I signed up for the Chevron Houston Marathon 2027 in January. Very excited. If you're on my email list, I sent you guys some fun deets about that. And I want to break 3 hours. I've had a 10K time that reflected that I could. However, I'm not in that shape now. I'm not. It kind of goes back to my other post where I talked about just because you ran a time doesn't mean you're automatically going to run the time that VDOT says you could run for a different race distance. It tells you that's what you could train for. And I did not train for a sub 3. I did not train for that. I didn't. Yeah, some of it was life. A lot of it was self-sabotage. A lot of it was, okay, here's the deal. Because my life was so hard and so heavy, I was like, well, if I train really hard for this and I fail at this, then I really am just a piece of garbage because I have failed everything else in my life. I've failed my kids. I've failed this marriage. I have failed being a personal trainer because I'm also a personal trainer, but I'm not even using it. And a lot of myself kind of lost that spark too. I used to be really active in the community and I was like, well, I'm too busy. I don't have to go to Run Club. I don't have to put my name back out there. All these other, just kind of being a hermit. And while I feel like a hermit period of your life is necessary to gain introspection, I definitely took it a little too far and have been kind of hiding a lot longer than I should have. And I feel like this is one big ramble. If you are still here with me about 5 minutes into this, God bless you. Somebody needs to hear this story. The whole point of the story is this. My spark for running kind of got reignited once I realized, holy cow, it was 10 years ago I actually qualified for Boston. And I remember running that 8-minute pace in that marathon and being like, I did it. I did something really hard. Like, I finished this. I trained for this. And I did it. And I remember being so over the moon happy about that. And then I just run Asheville with a 7:45 pace and I'm pissed off with myself. Make it make sense. How quickly we forget, right? And when I go back to that memory, I'm like, you did that? And that's why you're a run coach today. Because you picked yourself up from the ashes then. And you did something amazing. And you're going to do that again. But this time I'm not going to do it alone. Work with a run coach, have somebody in your corner. Make sure your teammates know, make sure my co-coaches with me, understand what's going on behind the scenes, and just being more intentional about showing up and taking that constructive feedback. Okay, this is where I need to improve X, Y, and Z matter. What can I do to relieve some of the effort on my plate? Because I'm just one person. I can't be a mom, the sole breadwinner, the maid, the chef, the business owner, the coach. Because being a business owner of a running coaching company and being an actual coach are two radically different things. I'm talking behind the scenes, what I do on a daily basis of organization and trying to learn these systems. Sometimes it feels like I'm just hitting my head against a brick wall. I'm can I not just pay people to do this? Yes, I could if, once we get to that point in our business. But so my goal for the Rogue Coach and our squad is to take a team of us, coaches, athletes alike, to go run and cheer in Boston in 2028. And I'm putting that out there because our slogan is, we help you find your second wind in life and on the run. And right now I need a second wind. And so I feel like if I'm honest with you guys and I put that out there, we can do this. I can do this. I didn't start the Rogue Coach because I'm just like everybody else and I'm every other coach. I started it because I saw a vision and a dream, not only for my team, my athletes, but something I started 10 years ago. And I almost gave up on it. And I would be doing you a disservice and myself and my girls a disservice to give up on something I started 10 years ago. Yeah, I went through a 10-year hell marriage where my identity and my confidence was literally put through the ringer. And I watched myself go from peppy, yay, Jess, most people who know the happy Jess, literally plummeted to the pits of the earth, pits of hell, to where I thought, I don't even want to be here anymore. I'm not in that anymore. But I think what hit me today, I was like, well, I've been out of that for 2 years. Yeah, we've had custody battles and I've been in the court and I had to go to court again this morning. So maybe that's part of this. But it's when you leave that intense level of a narcissistic relationship, it takes a lot longer than a year or two to heal. That's how it feels. And I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, I'm fine. But then I, see or hear something that like stings, and I'm like, shit, I thought I was okay. But I'm still self-sabotaging because I want to protect myself. And it's amazing how running and the marathon and, mental well-being and stuff like that is so in alignment, like with all the things. So I want to start training again out of a place of joy and excitement and not of self-protection. I want to start putting myself out there in the world again out of a place of joy and not self-protection. And I wanted to share this with you guys because I feel like there's more than just me out there. I know who has been through the ringer, whether it be relationship, children, career, whatever your ringer moment years are. And now the temptation is just isolate and stop chasing your goals and to play it safe so you're protected. Like, that doesn't bring any joy. And I feel like one of the purposes of my calling in life is to instill that spark. And if my spark isn't there, how can I instill it into you guys? Right? Okay. Well, that is what I had to say. And if you listened to this entire video, thank you. I hope something helped or resonated or brought you some comfort if you've been struggling. And perhaps you can just take comfort in knowing that you're not alone. All right. I love you guys. Bye.